My name is Michelle Worthington, and I am author of the Sass and Traz series. Today we're reading from Book 1, Sass and Traz Save the Library, and we're up to Chapter 8. Before long, Miss Burns had King Arthur and the knights sitting in the reading corner and waiting patiently for a story. This is a story called Dane the Knight. Once upon a time, a little boy called Dane lived in a big world of kings, queens, princesses, and knights. His father was a knight. His grandfather was a knight. His great-great-grandfather was a knight. In fact, every boy in his family had grown up to be a famous and fierce knight, known for their might and skill with the sword. Lancelot nudged the knight next to him. "I think he's my cousin." Instead of getting upset, Miss Burns giggled like a schoolgirl and winked at Lancelot. Sass gave her a puzzled look, and she readjusted her skirt and refocused on the story. The very next year, Dane was entered by his father into the grand tournament at the castle, where all young squires went to prove their worth and be selected for the king's own guard. The only trouble was Dane wasn't very good. Instead of clanging, he clanked. Instead of swinging, he swooshed. Instead of dodging, he dived. He was a knight, so it should have been easy, but even the princess could beat him in a fight. Instead of having arms of steel, he had 2 left feet. All the knights turned around to Lancelot. "Definitely cousins," they murmured. With an awkward smile, Lancelot flicked back his golden hair from his eyes and squared his shoulders. Miss Burns was mesmerized for a few seconds and shook herself as if she were waking from sleep before picking up the book from where she had dropped it and finding the right page. The following morning, a bellowing horn pierced the air. It was time for the tournament to begin. Dane followed the others to a dark, damp cave. Puffs of white smoke billowed into the morning air. Through wide eyes, he realized where the smoke was coming from. A real dragon. "Now it's getting interesting," smiled King Arthur. The other trainee knights slashed and poked, but all ran out of the cave with burnt bottoms. The knights scoffed. "Amateurs." Dane moved slowly towards the back of the cave and sat on the dragon's bed, patting the pillow and holding up a teddy. The dragon stopped smoking and roaring and grinding its teeth and tottered over to lay down next to him. Dane patted the dragon's tail and told him a story. The dragon smiled and slipped off to sleep, leaving Dane to steal out of the cave and quietly close the stone door behind him. "Wait, what?" said King Arthur. Dane's father was so proud. Sometimes the best way to win is to be kind and share the love from your heart. That's the best kind of hero there is. The end. The library erupted into cheering and clanking of armor. "Read it again!" shouted the knights. Lancelot took Miss Burns by the hand and helped her stand. For some reason, her knees seemed to keep buckling. Kindness is a knight's most important weapon. "Have you tried that to defeat your adversary?" he asked. "Yes, it didn't work," she whispered. Sass had never seen her face look so flushed before. "Camelot has seen its fair share of wars. I would suggest raising the bridges, shutting the gates, and releasing a dragon or 2, suggested King Arthur, retrieving his crown and trying to adjust it over his ears. "Huzzah, your majesty!" chorused the knights, who had regained their composure at the word dragons. Sass was already edging towards the basement door when her brother rolled over her foot. "Don't even think about it." "Enough with the dragons," said King Arthur to his knights. "This is a sacred mission and a solemn one. No man is too good or too old to learn, and if you will study what ought to be studied, you will become better men. Stories teach us to better know our rights as well as our duties. You can either waste your time fighting or remember the few words Lady Burns has spoken this morn and try to act according to what she said." "And that's why he's king," whispered Miss Burns to the twins. Your Majesty, she smiled, I thank you for giving me the opportunity of meeting you. Your wisdom has given us much to consider. Now, if you would be so kind as to exit through the front doors of the building, I would be most obliged. But just in case one of you would like to stay, she looked squarely at Lancelot. I'm sure having a brave knight about the place couldn't hurt. We must go, said King Arthur, placing his crown back and standing with his arms outstretched. You can curtsy as I pass. Miss Burns and the twins bobbed up and down as the king, followed by the knights, including a winking Lancelot, walked ceremoniously towards the door. Before they sucked back up into balls of light, he turned around and blew Miss Burns a kiss. The twins thought she might have crash-tackled him before he got to the door, but she was too late. The half-time hooter blew,